I don't know about you, but when I play board games, I still like to chat with the people I'm sat around a table with, whether it's my opponents or my teammates. But 5 years ago, I played a game called The Mind, and that is a game where you don't talk. You just sit and stare and will the other players to do what you want them to do and hope they get it right. But what if the mind ate a watch? Take Time elevates non-communication card games to a new level. Each puzzle is effectively a scenario. At the start of an attempt, there is a gathering of minds as plans are formulated and a sort of code language constructed between you all. But once the green light is given, no more talky-talky, it's time for action. The puzzle boards have rules, a combination of restrictions for how you can place your cards. The deck of cards is comprised of 24 numbered cards 1 to 12, half light, half dark. Place those cards so that the totals ascend from one side of the clock hand to the other. Do it without breaking the rules and you win. Congratulations. Now try another one. It feels lazy comparing this game to The Mind, but it's a good jumping off point. However, The Mind is more basic in its execution. There isn't really any open information, you just see what is in your hand. Usually games devolved into scenarios where two players would face off against each other, neither willing to budge, both of them thinking that they had the higher number. And like an elastic band that suddenly has to snap, somebody just had to flip a card over and hope for the best. But Take Time does things a little differently. The first of these is the discussion phase. It's really useful. Before you start playing, before you even look at your cards, you're all going to be looking at the puzzle in the middle of the table. The puzzle has rules you have to follow. For example, the first player to place their card goes here. Second person to place their card has to go here. After that, you can place on any spoke, but at the end of the round, the total sum of cards in this spoke must be between 20 and 30. Follow those rules and you'll win. How you use this to your advantage is knowing that as soon as you look at your hand of cards and the player has a 1, get it there quick. Then play goes clockwise around the table. Why does it go clockwise? Because it's about clocks. Next up in the placement phase, we have some juicy open information. Normally in Take Time, you're placing cards face down. It's all a mystery until the reveal phase comes at the end. But you are allowed to place a certain number of cards face up, just to give your teammates a little bit of open information. Normally this is 1 card per player, like so. So in a 4-player game, you can reveal 4 cards face up. But if you fail regularly, you'll start earning these little +1s. Just give you a few extra ones you can chuck into your game. Now to clarify, this isn't 1 per person in a 4-player game. 1 player could use all 4 of those up when they place their cards. And that's the brilliance of it. The choice comes when you place your card. There's no communication here, is there? So you have to just decide that you think it's valuable that you show your other teammates what card you're placing down. Now, one of the clock rules could be that there's a certain max ceiling to the total points on that spoke, say 15. But you've only got high number cards in your hand and no one's put anything down there yet. You're going to want to place that 10 face up so everyone knows there isn't much wiggle room left on that spoke. Just having this little bit of open information in the game, it just really allows you to feel like you're solving a puzzle as opposed to just putting things down and hoping for the best. It really does work to the game's advantage. And finally, there's the card colours. It's a deck of 24 cards split into 2 halves, light and dark. But each number is represented in both those half decks. This puzzle, for example, requires a light only card to be placed on this spoke. If you've got the only light card left because you can see everyone else hasn't got dark cards, this is your responsibility and everyone else can see that it's your responsibility. So take your responsibility seriously. If you try and explain the rules and concept of Take Time to someone, it can bend their mind. But I find that as soon as you put it down in front of someone and let them play that first round, it all clicks together. The game kind of holds your hand for that first envelope. So there's 4 puzzles in the first one, and the first 3 puzzles have a bit more leeway with the number ranges that they can accommodate. So for most of the puzzles in the game, you have a limit of 24 as the total amount you can have on the final spoke as you go around the clock. But in the first 3, it's infinity. So you could, in effect, have 1, 2, 4, 6, 10, and then just dump all the rest of your cards in that last spot. It's nice. It just lets players kind of get into it with that restraint on the last one. There's a spoke that's a dumping ground. If you don't know what else to do and you're panicking, and all the rules seem to have been fulfilled, and you don't know what to do as 8 because it will mess things up on someone else's plan. So that's really, really good. And then the game goes through each clock and just adds a rule or 2 in about placement, about where you start from, about who has to go first, about the colours of the cards that go in the spoke and so on. And then as it progresses through all the envelopes, there's 10 envelopes in total, 4 puzzles in each. Do the math, it's 40 puzzles. It becomes less about introducing new concepts on these spokes and more about the combinations of these puzzles and these rules that have to go into it and pairing them up. Not filling up the entire clock with rules, but now you've got a limitation on numbers and a colour one, and it gets really, really puzzly the more it goes into it. I think there's like a line there where it kind of peters out, and then it's just progression through the game. And there's also a fun mechanic where if you fail, and I'm going to get this, if you fail, you can if you had enough of a puzzle, put it back in here, try it again later, and just go on to the next. Because some puzzles, they just don't like you and they don't want you to pass them, and they will batter you over the head after several attempts. And I can't talk about Take Time without praising the art. Art doesn't make a game, and this would have worked mechanically with just plain white, plain black cards and a simple clock design in the middle. But you get this. Totally unnecessary, but very much appreciated. The effort that went into the backs of the cards, the effort that went into the numbers on the front. You can't really see the gold foiling very well on camera. I've tried unsleeving them, it doesn't show up any better. And that's just the cards. Then you have these envelopes, which each envelope has its own thematic artwork on the front that links to the clocks within it. They could have just repeated that design on all 4 clocks. Obviously, that would have just said, these 4 clocks are from this envelope. But each design is a variant of that artwork. Absolutely gorgeous. And then the envelopes themselves have their own design on them on each one. Gorgeous. The gorgeous works of art, each one, is totally unnecessary. But like I say, very much appreciated. This game is a work of art when it's out on the table. It's distracting sometimes. The white, the black, the gold, it all works so well together. Absolutely gorgeous. Mwah. But does Take Time have any flaws? Yeah, it does. It has 2. Really tiny ones though. Really tiny. First of all, this is a game where the luck of the draw can dictate your success. You have a 24 card deck, but you're only ever playing with half that deck in a game amongst all the players. So no matter how much open information you've got, some of it is dictated by the shuffle before you dealt those cards out. And if you've got all low numbers or all high numbers, it's really hard to plan around that when you don't know that they're going to be hitting you. So yeah, sometimes it's a bit frustrating when you think you come up with the ultimate plan, or the last round you barely lost, so you think you've got it this time, and now the luck of the draw means this time you have absolutely 0 chance of passing. And the other flaw I would say is just, again, it's insignificant, but it's for us, we love the game and we're trying to introduce it to a lot of people. So we've played Envelope 1 a lot. We've played Envelope 2 a few times, and it's slowing our own progress down of getting through to the end envelopes in the game, because you cannot drop new people of the game into where you've got to if you're quite the way through the envelopes. You have to start from the beginning to give them those basic mechanics, to give them those sort of safety nets. So yeah, if you're the one that owns this and wants to show it off to everyone, it's going to make the game a bit of a slog for you to get through, and you're going to be starting from the beginning often. It's not really a flaw, it's just something to look out for, that, like I say, if you want to get this in front of people, you're going to have to accept that you're going to be repeating yourself over and over. We play most of our games at 2-player, but how does Take Time handle the low player count? Well, it does it pretty well, and it does it in the setup. In a 4-player game, there's 3 cards each, and in a 3-player game, 4 cards each. By that logic, you'd think it was 6 cards each in a 2-player game, but that is a lot of information that you have in your hand. So instead, you get 4 cards into your hand, and 2 go face down on the table next to you. It's only when you've played 2 cards to the clock that you get to pick up those 2 extra cards and see what they are. Maybe they're really, really useful. Maybe it's the cards you've been waiting for. Or maybe they're complete duds. But just that delay in getting all the information just makes the game more of a puzzle. I think it would be too simple if you just started the round with 6 players. And I'm glad they thought of that and made that change. So yeah, we've been playing it 2-player. It works absolutely fine. So what do I think of the game? I love it. It quickly became one of my favourite co-op games of all time. It would have been in my top 25 for last year if we played it earlier in the year and if we got more plays under our belt at that time. I couldn't really justify putting it in there with how new it was. But yeah, absolutely fantastic game. It looks so gorgeous. All of the components. It's the box as well. It's a small box. It's an affordable small box, but the amount of content you get in there is unbelievable. Like I say, 10 envelopes, 40 puzzles in total, plus something secret at the end. Yeah, it's astounding what you get for your money in this game, and the progression of the puzzles, and also the relaxed nature of the game. You don't get locked behind a puzzle. Like if you get stuck on one that's like, well, this game is rubbish, let's get rid of it. Just put it in the sleeve of regret and forget about it. The game lets you do this. You can play it later if you want or not. The police aren't going to come around for you. And I think that's fantastic. And then, of course, the more you fail a puzzle specifically, the more little handicaps you get. So the game is kind of giving you that helping hand. And again, I really love that. You know, the level of challenge is what you want it to be. And I just, yeah, I just think it's a fantastic, it's a very clever puzzle. How each clock forces you to play cards in certain ways, and you really got to think about the order you do things in and take into account what you think other people have got. Super thinky puzzle, and like I say, yeah, one of my top card games. So if you get a chance to play it, definitely give it a try, or just buy it. I recommend buying it. I think it's a must for all collections. Yeah. Obviously, I want to thank Asmodee for the review copy. I hadn't heard anything about this game until they asked me if I wanted to review it. I was just like, I'll give it a go. I don't know what it's about. But I've been absolutely blown away by this game, and I can see this never leaving my collection, because even when we get to the end, like I say, there's extra twists on replayability, and it's just a really good one to introduce to other people and get them hooked on it too. Yeah, that's all I have to say about the game. As usual, thank you for watching the video and taking the time. If you like what you saw, thumbs up, subscribe so you can see the next videos, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.